This is a case of posterior polar cataract. So whenever we take a case of posterior polar cataract for phacoemulsification, we need to abide by certain principles. Number one, we make the rhexis little smaller than usually what we do. This is because if there is a PCR, we need to place the IOL in the sulcus, then we'll have adequate anterior capsular flap to place the IOL into the sulcus. Second thing, there should not be absolutely any hydro procedure. Many people do hydrodelineation. Some also do viscodelineation. But Dr. Vasavada in his study demonstrated that in posterior polar cataract, when you try to do hydrodelineation, there is always inadvertent hydrodissection. So it's a good idea not to do any hydro procedure in phacoemulsification of posterior polar cataract. Third principle is that we should not keep the anterior chamber empty. As everybody knows, in posterior polar cataract, the posterior capsule in that particular spot is very fragile and weak, and in many times it is deficient. So if we come out during phacoemulsification and keep the anterior chamber empty, then the whole vitreous comes behind the posterior capsule and put a pressure on it, and many a time that initiates the rupture of the posterior capsule. So it is a very strict principle that in no situation we should keep the anterior chamber empty. And it is always better to do a slow motion phacoemulsification in posterior polar cataract by keeping all the parameters on a lower mode. And last but the most important is that you should always physically and mentally get prepared that there will be a rupture. So this is in our setup. When there is a posterior polar cataract, I tell my supporting staff that this is a case of PPC. By that, they understand that they need to check the vitrectomy cutter. They need to ensure that there is adequate vitreous. And also at the same time, they get mentally prepared that this surgery may take longer. So with these all things in background, we should go for posterior polar cataract. In this surgery, as you see, I'm abiding by all the principles. But here, unmindfully, after taking the last piece, I came out without putting anything into the anterior chamber. So I made a crime that I should not have come out. You can see I've completed. Now I should have put viscoelastics into the eye at this stage, but I didn't do. I forgot. I made a crime, and I came out, and that put lot of pressure into the posterior capsule. Now here, unsuspectfully, I went for eye. There was nothing there, so I did eye onto the opposite side. Now at this moment, I realized that I have been punished for the crime I made. You can see the big tear there. There's a throw and throw tear, and I realized, and the first thing I did, I came out keeping the anterior chamber fully inflated, and I put fish. So that is the procedure one should follow when there is a PCR. And by putting the viscode, I kept the vitreous behind, and anterior chamber is now fully inflated. Now this is a pre-patient. I need to put a rigid IOL, and I realized that there is no vitreous disturbance, and I decided to put an IOL, PMMA-IOL, into the sulcus. So here I am. This lens is 1 diopter less what it was intended for into the bag, and I have no much difficulty because there is a good intercapsular flap, so I easily slip the lens into the sulcus. And there are some cortex left. If I try to remove this, there will be vitreous disturbance, so I decided to keep those like this. And I know the postoperative steroid will take care of this leftover cortex, and if anything happens, I can always go behind and do a vitrectomy and cortex removal. So here it is, the lens is in the sulcus, and at the end I decided to put some pilocarpine because lens is in the sulcus, it might come out of the sulcus to the AC. So just to prevent it, I put some pilocarpine, and here is the last picture. It looks pretty okay. The only concern is the leftover cortex, and let us see what happens tomorrow or the next few days, how this cortex react, and most of the time it works pretty good. Thank you very much.